Oké, beste mensen, ja, het is weer zover. We hebben een mooi Skype-interview. En deze keer met bassist Justin Biggs van de Swedish doom metal sensation Sorcerer. Hey Justin, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much, man. Yeah, it's an honor to have you here at Rock of Ages on AFM in the Netherlands.
I appreciate it, and I'm more than happy to be here. It's going to be cool.
Awesome, yeah. Well, there's a new album coming out, Reign of the Reaper, and we're going to talk about that, of course. But first, the previous record, Lamenting of the Innocent, was released in the pandemic. How was that time for you guys? Because it was an uncertain time, but...
Yeah, I mean, you can never really time a pandemic, can you?
No.
I mean, it was... It went fairly well, considering the circumstances. You know, obviously we weren't able to gig, so we had to be creative and kind of jump on the sort of like social media bandwagon where everybody was streaming gigs and trying to deliver content to people and stuff like that. So we did do a gig where we had like a kind of like people bought tickets online. It went really well.
Yeah.
And we also had our CD release or album release on online as well. And I mean, the record overall was received very well, so I was really chuffed by that, and it opened the door for a lot larger festivals in the European festival circuit. So I mean, once things were back up and running, we were back at it. It was like all the gigs that were cancelled were in line. We played gigs like Helmfest and Sweden Rock.
Yeah, so it turned out very good in the end.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't complain, you know, it was a very humbling experience to go through a pandemic, but at the end of the day, you know, it was what it was, and there's no point in looking back, just look forward.
No, we're going to look forward. That's what we're going to do. The fourth Sorcerer's album is coming out, Reign of the Reaper. When you guys starting writing for that album? When does it all start?
Yeah, I think that we started kind of like compiling stuff. It was, I would say, just after the festival season of 2022 stopped. We kind of had some ideas bouncing around, and you know, Christian and Peter, they're always writing, so you know, they had some ideas, and they just kind of like gradually threw them up for us to listen to, and we all started collaboratively, you know, writing and throwing ideas around. So it was about, I would say, like late summer 2022.
So like a year ago or so.
About that, yeah.
Yeah. And do you make the songs as a team, as a band?
Well, I would say that predominantly, you know, Christian and Peter do the bulk of the songwriting, like putting things together. Like I think that's kind of one cool thing about Sorcerer is you can definitely hear which song's a Peter song and which song is a Christian song.
Yeah.
They have a very distinct writing style, but then when you put them together, they have a really great dynamic together, which is what makes it kind of like this grandiose and this big sound, you know. They're writing the majority of the music. Anders is more focused on like the vocal melodies and stuff like that, and vocal arrangements, whereas I'm more focused on the lyrics and stuff like that.
The lyrics, yeah. Where do you get your inspiration for the lyrics?
Personally, like my inspiration comes from like old mythology. You know, old classics like Paradise Lost, Beowulf, the Iliad, stuff like that. You know, that's where I get a lot of my kind of like, I just like to read. I'm a bookworm, so that's what I do.
So you get your inspiration from reading. Not when you are on tour. Do you get inspiration when you're at home in your own environment?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm reading always. I've always got a book on the go. You know, it's just kind of like it's my getaway from the modern times. You know, it's nothing better than picking up a book and reading. You know, disconnecting yourself from the online world and
that's sometimes best. Yeah,
it's just the way it is. You know, have a nice dinner and then maybe sit out, have a beer, and read a book.
Yeah, well, then actually life is very simple then, yeah. It is, yeah. So you write the lyrics and you have, like I would say, a piece of paper and you're writing, and then you go with the lyrics to the band and they created
I mean,
music
I think
for
the way, that's how I normally write lyrics, but I mean with Sorcerer it's a bit of a different dynamic because basically what happens is we get the kind of like the songs written, and then we focus as a band, like Christian and Peter will put together about 14, 15 songs, and they'll pick out like the best 8 from each other, and then there's like 16 songs to pick from, and then as a band we kind of like pick our favorite 8 or 9, and then Anders kind of decides what to sing on, and what he thinks is best, and then once he kind of goes with it, I hear the vocal melodies and stuff like that, and he has kind of like these scrap lyrics, you know, where he's just kind of like singing like fun or cool words just to get the melody, and I'll use that. Sometimes I keep some of the words in, and you know, on the album there was a few things that he sang in like the demo singing, you know, that I kept because I thought it was really good, so I built around that as well.
Okay, nice, yeah. And how you make sure that the typical Sorcerer sound will be captured, because you guys are known as that epic doom. People are expecting something for you. How do you keep that sound?
I don't know. I don't think we ever really generalized ourselves as a doom band. We've always been kind of like just focused on the music, and when it gets doomy and gloomy, it's just doomy and gloomy. But we're also capable of writing, you know, like ballads, like on Deliverance from Lamenting of Innocence.
Oh yeah, that's a great song. Yeah.
So I mean, there's stuff like that we can write, and we can also write up tempo stuff, which you'll probably hear later on the other record.
Okay, yeah.
Coming record, you know, we've had some snippets out on Facebook and stuff, so you can hear this bit more mid-tempo stuff there. So I don't think that we're just isolated or inside this sort of like initial doom box. We have a lot of Candlemass and Black Sabbath influence, of course, but I think Sorcerer kind of stands on its own in the sense that we just do what we love to do. If it comes across as epic and doomy, well, that's great.
Yeah, well, sometimes Sorcerer reminds me of Black Sabbath a little at the Tony Martin era.
Yeah, well, I think it's a big influence on Anders for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's his favorite era of the Black Sabbath, you know, Forbidden. Headless Cross, not Forbidden.
Yeah.
That album's Forbidden. But yeah, Headless Cross or The Eternal Idol, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the main inspiration. Yeah, because Sorcerer goes way back to the 80s, of course.
Yeah, 1988, yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. About the new stuff, Morning Star, that's now the new single. Can you tell something about that song, and why is it picked as a first single from the new album?
Well, I think Morning Star is, it's about Lucifer, of course. It's loosely based and taking influence from Paradise Lost. Kind of like my little tribute to John Milton lyrically. You know, but I mean, as a song, it was one of the first ones that Christian wrote, and it was just so different and just so out there, you know. It was like, okay, this is really cool. There's still like some doomy elements, but there's still like this growing like crescendo, like layers just building up and building up and building up, you know.
It does, yeah.
And it kind of like leads you to the next song, like, oh, what's going to happen next, you know. You kind of get like this foreboding taste of what's to come, and I think that was what was cool about it. So that's the one that we picked as the first track. It just sounded so different and still so very Sorcerer at the same time.
Yeah, but that's very important, because when people hear the songs, I want to hear more, I want to hear the album.
Dit is Rock of Ages.